So first of all, I do want to congratulate the Dutch for beating the US 3-1. It was a very I would say it was not very nerve-wracking. It was not a game where it got us like super nervous and or like super excited or optimistic, because there were many times in this game in the perspective of the US where we're like, okay, like are we going to come out and kind of maybe even tie this game? There was really never that feeling. We always felt like the Dutch team were the superior ones. They were the ones that were going to be winning against the US. And so again, congratulations towards the Dutch. We thought that we had that fight in us. Yes, we had, for a moment there, we believed that maybe we could have tied, but overall, if you combine the full 90 minutes, we did not really give that fight that many of us did expect to see. And the Netherlands were much more superior on the defensive side of things. In the midfield, you look at the type of midfield that they had. They were starting with Klaassen, like they always do, with Frenkie de Jong, with De Roon, Dumfries, and Blin or Blin. I don't know. I forgot how to pronounce his name, but basically, yeah. Those five players were very, very dominant. The US did what they could with Yunus Musah, McKennie, Tyler Adams, but you just look at the individual performances of every player for the Netherlands, and especially for Frenkie de Jong, they just were the better players. And that's basically it. Like, they were the ones that were much more better coached. They had much more experience in situations like this. The US did not have that, right? Let alone they were not even playing with each other about 2 or 3 years ago, right? This new team that the US has assembled, it's brand new. And so for them to play together for the first time and experience the World Cup for the first time, I would say that the run in this World Cup for them was okay. It was solid. It's something that we can build from. We can get better on top of this. But again, with this game specifically, the Netherlands had the experience. They had all the skill sets in the world to win this game and go on to the next round and potentially face Argentina, as they should. So the only thing I really wanted, and I knew that this was probably going to happen, was for the US to just give a good fight. And give a good fight, maybe come back for a few moments there and give the Netherlands a headache. And I think that we have done that, right? We have done that. I'm not saying that the US were superior and that we were winning at 1-0, 1-0 or 2-0. I'm not saying that, right? We just fought back in a very solid way. So congratulations again to the Dutch. I'm also very proud of the boys, the US men's national team, for doing what they could. They had a great run in the group stages. They did phenomenal, in my opinion. They did not allow a single open play goal during the group stages, which made us believe that maybe we could go up against the Netherlands and go toe to toe. But like I've said, it was the quality of these players that made the difference for Van Gaal's side. And we started with a front three of Christian Pulisic, Ferreira as the striker, Weah as the right winger, McKennie, Tyler Adams, and Yunus Musah in the midfield, with Robinson, Tim Ream, Zimmerman, and Sergio Dest on the right back position. So that was the defensive line with those four players. There were some mistakes that I believe did happen in the starting 11, and this is going to be something that we are going to be talking about later in this video. But, like, to see what happened with Ferreira, why start this number 9 out of nowhere? To me, it just doesn't make any sense. And seeing him play in the first 45 minutes only proved that. It only proved that Ferreira really didn't do anything in this game at all, which made me really just wonder why Greg would place this player in the front three. He only had like about, you look at the touches that he had, he barely had any touches. Barely. He probably had like about 26 touches. You can see here he did have actually a total of 26 touches. He was dispossessed at one time. No goals, no assist, obviously. He distributed 19 passes, 16 of them were accurate, and there was no chances created from this player at all. He really did not do anything. And so to me, it felt like he was a wasted player. You could have placed Sargent. You could have placed Gio Reyna. You could have placed Weah in the number 9 position, something that we have been wanting to see since the beginning of this tournament. But we had Jesus Ferreira, and he did not do anything, right? He didn't do a single thing. And, we look at what did happen in the second half, and we saw how Gio Reyna was playing at the number 9 position, and he did very solid for someone who was not even a number 9. Haji Wright also did very solid, who even scored the goal for the US in this match. And then, you compare that to what Ferreira did when they were all fresh in the first 45 minutes. it was a horrible choice. Horrible. It was time wasting. It was a waste of space. We should have started with Gio Reyna in the first place, and then put Haji Wright back into the squad later down this game. But we didn't do that. We had like 3 different number 9s within a span of 90 minutes. Gio Reyna, Jesus Ferreira, Haji Wright. To me, it felt like Greg Berhalter did not know exactly what was going to be the ultimate solution within this game for us to be very effective in the final third. Because I have 3 different number 9s, it's very questionable. And it just made me believe that Greg Berhalter was experimenting during this game, which is never good. You experiment in the qualifiers. You experiment in those friendlies that you have before the actual big tournament, not in games like this. So, let's talk about the goals that the U.S. have conceded, because all of them were similar. They were all similar, right? And this is where I think that the U.S. have to learn from this. There's a lot to learn from the way that they have conceded, because if you carry the exact same mistakes 3.5 years later, in the year of 2026, when the World Cup is going to be here in this country, you're not going to get very far, because to defend plays like that the Netherlands have produced, they're very basic stuff. They're stuff that you're supposed to already know. And I'm not going to blame the players, because these players have done phenomenal. They're great defensively. I blame the technical staff for not pointing something like this weakness out, and especially very early in this campaign. And let me explain what I do mean by this. Back in the game between US and the Wales, right? The US were winning at 1 point, but the Wales did score. How did they score? They scored because there was a throw-in, and the US failed to recognize that there was even a throw-in, and the ball out of nowhere went into their own box with a cross coming from the Wales. And then that is how the Wales did get that penalty, because Bale received the ball. Zimmerman was like, oh my God, I did not expect for the ball to come over here in the box. I did not even know that there was a throw-in, and blah, blah, blah. And that is why they have mistakenly given the Wales a penalty. Something very similar to that did happen in the Netherlands game between the US and the Netherlands, in terms of the overall where the attack took place. You look at how the Netherlands scored. It was Dumfries going into the final third, going in the exact same area of where the Wales basically created their attacking play, and made that cross into the box, only for Memphis Depay to score the first goal of that game. It was a very easy goal for the Netherlands. You can really tell that Van Gaal studied the US and said, okay, I see them having a lot of trouble defending those areas when the opposition is attacking, like how Wales did end up making that attacking opportunity in order for Bale to receive that penalty. So it was brilliant coaching coming from Van Gaal for him to study the US in that way, because they struggled. The US struggled to defend in areas like that, which is why Dumfries found no problem going into that area, making that cross into the box, and for the Netherlands to go up 1-0. We go into the second goal, and the exact same thing happened. Dumfries receives the ball in the exact same area, basically in the exact same area. He crosses the ball, exact same play. This is so funny. He crosses the ball into the box, only for Blind or Blean. I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly, but he basically receives that cross from Dumfries and puts the ball at the back of the net. It's just the exact same play. You can literally just see it, and it's so clear that Van Gaal has told these players, this is what we're going to do, because the US cannot defend in areas like this. They just cannot do that, and they have shown that against Wales very early. And for these defenders and for these midfielders of the US to just ball watch that whole play and not do a single thing, to just sit there and act like statues, is very offensive. And again, I'm not blaming the players. I'm blaming the technical staff for not noting this out and to demand more from these players. It's not the players' fault. They were caught flat-footed defending those plays. Both of those goals coming from Blind and Memphis Depay. It's very similar to what we also saw with FC Barcelona. I know that many of you guys do come from the Barca Media fan base, and you guys are watching this video on the American Dynasty YouTube channel, but it's very similar to what happened with FC Barcelona against Liverpool, when we're like, what the heck, what happened? Like, how did Liverpool score these 2 goals within a span of 10 minutes? Like, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, just ball watching, being caught flat-footed, Busquets, Jordi Alba, Piqué, not knowing a thing that was going on, that Liverpool were doing, attacking so fast, so quick, putting the ball inside the field, throwing that that ball in or making that cross into the box, doing that, taking that corner quickly, right? Same thing happened with the U.S. Same thing. And how did Barcelona end up upgrading from that, getting better from that? By having a good coach, by having a coach that always demands these players to be very attentive, always defend in certain areas that needs to be defended. And so the same thing has to happen for the U.S. They need to have, I would say, a better coach. I would say for Greg, like, thank you for everything that you have done in the past 3 years. I think that you did what you could, but we need a world-class coach that can get the best from these players, because these players are also world-class and we can be the very best. We can. I think that this U.S. team can become the very best team in the world in about 3.5 years. But to do that, we need a great coach. A coach that knows how to solve problems, that knows how to analyze the opposition, knowing who they're going to be playing, and knows exactly what their weaknesses is going to be, like what Van Gaal has done with the Netherlands and how they have defeated us. And so if you were to ask me, who do you think were the best players for the Netherlands, right, under Van Gaal? I think that it was, one of them has to be Dumfries. Dumfries had a great game, scoring one goal, providing 2 assists. He's such a great wing back, and I have seen him play very well for his club also at Inter Milan. I think that he was the best player. He just dominated the U.S. on his flank. Robinson did not have an easy day today, and alongside with McKennie, because of Dumfries' like brilliant performance, and especially being coached by Van Gaal. Van Gaal is experienced in situations like this. He knows what it's like to be in quarterfinals in the round of 16. He knows it, right? He's been through this already, which is why we have been out-coached tactically. Another player that played very well was Frenkie de Jong, for always protecting the ball, recovering the ball. Every time Yunus Musa or McKennie tried to get the ball, or Aronson, who came in the second half, Frenkie de Jong had a phenomenal performance, like really absorbing that pressure from the midfield. And of course, you have Memphis Depay. Memphis Depay was also excellent in this game. Why can he bring this to FC Barcelona, right? It's very annoying to like see a player not play good for your team, but when you're supporting a different team, he ends up being like a world-class player. But everything ran through him. When it came to the Netherlands attacking in the final third, Memphis was doing everything, creating the opportunities, making those passes into the final third, receiving the ball behind the defense. Amazing, world class, of course. The Netherlands are a great team, and I applaud them. It's fair play. So adding more emphasis on the second half, I want to speak about 2 certain things. And again, it's going to be about Jesus Ferreira and the substitutions that we made to take him out. Because here's the thing, right? Clearly what did happen in the first 45 minutes did not work at all. It just did not work. And you can just tell by what Greg did in the second half by putting Gio Reyna in immediately in the second half and taking out Jesus Ferreira. So you can already see that, Greg had it wrong. He knew that he made a mistake by putting in a player like that. And so we had a front 3 of Gio Reyna as the number 9, Wea as the right winger, and Pulisic on the left wing. And it was a great front 3, a front 3 that was producing and controlling a lot in the final third, giving Van Dijk the headache that he needed to have in this game that we wanted to see. And then later in the match, we saw Aronson come in for McKennie. And at that point, when I saw Aronson in the midfield, having Gio Reyna as a false 9, Wea on the right wing, Christian Pulisic on the left wing position, that is where I knew that the U.S. can actually score, because we were recovering the ball so quick. And especially when we saw someone like Yedlin come in the right back position, replacing Serginho Dest, it was good. Like, the U.S. looked so much more refreshed, and we were controlling the ball way more. And with having a very effective number 9, because later down the second half, we saw Haji Wright come in the number 9 position, and Gio Reyna shifting towards the right wing. The level of intensity remained the same. By the time the second half did start, all the way into the 90th minute, the level of intensity was always the same. Always recovering the ball as soon as possible. Aronson just trying to get that ball, get it into the final third area. Yedlin, every time he even touched the ball, his first touch was a ball to move forward, which is why we also saw the U.S. Score the first goal. For themselves, of course, not the first goal of the overall game, but for Yedlin to touch the ball, make that pass into the final half. Christian Pulisic receives the ball, makes that cross into the box, and Haji Wright gets like a very, very lucky goal. It was beautiful. Like if he meant that, that was a beautiful goal coming from Haji Wright. I did not expect a goal like that to happen from him. So it was amazing to see, and that was the moment where I also said like what I did say in the beginning of this video, where I'm like, could the US actually come back? Because at that moment it was 2-1, and I'm like, no way. Like, do we actually have this? There was 10 minutes left to play, and when he scored that, I'm like, okay. You know, everyone started saying, "I believe that we can win. I believe," and so it was a moment, right? And the U.S. were fighting back because of what Aronson was providing, because of what Gio Reyna was providing. You can just see that you knew that this was the team that should have started from the very beginning. There was no that. This is why I do say like the smallest decisions and any substitution and any wrong starting 11 that you place or a wrong player that you place, it's gonna harm you in the end. I feel like if I felt like if we had a front three of Christian Pulisic on the left, Gio Reyna starting on the number 9 position with Wea, and then maybe having Aronson in the midfield, we probably would have done way better. But we did not do that, right? We had like different starting teams and different squads every 15 to 20 minutes. And so we go into the final few moments, and the Netherlands did score their third goal in the exact same way, like I did say in the beginning of this video. The exact same thing. We saw Dumfries just by himself at the back post with the US, again, just watching Dumfries receive the ball, and he puts the ball at the back of the net. A very similar goal. Is just on the other side of the US. And then we look at the final stats here, and we can see that the US had more possession than the Netherlands. The US, this is why I do say that we played solid. It's just we could have played better, but we had more possession than the Netherlands. We had a total of 58% possession. Total shots, we had 17 more than the Netherlands, which was 11. Big chances, it was tied. It was 3 total big chances for the US and 3 total big chances for the Netherlands. And then the shots on target, the Netherlands had 6. The US had a total of 8. I did not even know this. So the US had more shots on target than Holland, than Van Gaal's team. Isn't that crazy? That it's just so crazy to know that. And this is kind of going back to what I did say previously about this match, is that the Netherlands do not really see a lot of chances, and they're going to welcome you. They're going to welcome the opposition to see their own chances, but the Netherlands in the end are going to come out to be the most decisive at the end of the day. Every time they do get that opportunity, which is not going to be more than the opposition, they're going to score the goals because they're so good at setting up their own plays. They're so good at that. One of the reasons why they even found that first goal is because they were able to come out so easily. The passes were perfect. Everything went out well for them. Everything was well drilled. Everything was well practiced. And so that is why they, even though they saw less opportunities than the US, they were able to capitalize off of those opportunities, and the US could not do that. And one of this is going back to it's going back to what we have been talking about for the past year. If the US, and hopefully we can see this within the next 3.5 years, if the US can birth a real number 9, a number 9 that is lethal, that can score goals, that can always find himself in great areas and receive the ball in great areas, and can support the wingers and the wing backs and the fullbacks, then the US will be so much better. I hope that Sargent ends up having a season or 2 seasons before the next World Cup where he scores about 30 goals per season. I hope that we can see that, or for Pepe to continue to score more goals. Maybe someone that should have been called up in the first place. So in the end, I'm proud of my boys. I'm proud of these players. These are players that are, remember, they're very, very young. They have experienced the World Cup for the first time, and I have said we can build on top of this. And I love what Donovan did say in the post-match review about this whole match. He was speaking with Clint Dempsey, and he did say one thing. He said Christian Pulisic had the experience of not being able to go to the World Cup back in 2017, to be disqualified and not go. He has experienced that. Now he has leveled up and went to the World Cup, which is the current World Cup that we are in. And now he has experienced going into the World Cup and being knocked out in the round of 16. London Donovan also said that he believes that Christian Pulisic will learn from this and take this experience into 2026 and go very, very far. Right? Now he knows what it's like to be knocked out from the qualifiers. Now he knows what it's like to be knocked out from the round of 16. Christian Pulisic has all the ability in the world, alongside with the other players, to potentially know they're gonna want to know what what it feels like to go into maybe the quarterfinals, into the semifinals and finals. They know what it takes and they know what they need to do. They're going to learn from these mistakes. So I want to congratulate Christian Pulisic for having a great tournament. I also want to congratulate McKennie, Tyler Adams, Yunus Musa, Wea, Robinson, even though he was looking a little shaky in the past 2 games for the US. Reem also had a great campaign. We're probably not going to see him again in the World Cup because he's just simply too old, and we're going to birth brand new center backs. You better bet that. Chris Richards, they're going to come up. I also want to congratulate Serginho Dest and Matt Turner. Matt Turner was amazing, had so many great saves in this World Cup campaign. I also want to congratulate Aronson for doing what he could, Haji Wright for scoring that goal, Yedlin for being that veteran for this squad and providing that pre-assist to Christian Pulisic. And Gio Reyna also had an amazing performance. I believe that it is the end for many of these players. Like, for example, we're probably not going to be seeing players like Ferreira no more. We're probably not going to be seeing players like again, like Reem, even though he was amazing. He's a real veteran. And that's basically it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Congratulations again to the Netherlands. But this is going to be a brand new beginning for the US cycle to go into that 2026 World Cup. I have no idea if they're going to be laying off Greg Berhalter or they're going to give him a contract extension to further extend this team to be even greater. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.